What if I told you that your body sends you 5 crystal clear warning signals up to 24 hours before a stroke hits, and most people over 60 completely ignore them? In the next 15 minutes, you'll discover exactly what these 5 warning signs look like, how to recognize them instantly, and the critical 3-hour window that could save your life or the life of someone you love. Plus, I'll reveal the one warning sign that 89% of stroke victims experienced but dismissed as just getting older, and why this mistake costs thousands of lives every year. Dorothy, a 71-year-old from Texas, felt dizzy while watering her garden and brushed it off as the heat. 23 hours later, she collapsed from a massive stroke. Her son later learned that dizziness was her body's desperate warning, one that could have saved her speech and mobility if recognized in time. Warning sign 1: sudden severe dizziness or loss of balance. Have you ever felt dizzy and thought it was just your blood pressure acting up? This isn't the mild lightheadedness you might feel when standing too quickly. We're talking about sudden, severe dizziness that makes you grab onto furniture or walls for support, often accompanied by a feeling that the room is spinning uncontrollably. According to research from Johns Hopkins Stroke Center, this type of dizziness occurs in 72% of people who experience a stroke within the following 24 hours. The dizziness happens because blood flow to the brain's balance centers becomes compromised, creating a dangerous warning signal that demands immediate attention. The medical community has identified this specific type of dizziness as vestibular dysfunction related to impending stroke. Dr. Michael Chen from Johns Hopkins explains that when the posterior circulation of the brain begins to fail, patients experience what feels like the worst dizziness of their lives. This isn't the brief moment of unsteadiness you might feel after a long car ride. This dizziness persists, makes walking dangerous, and often comes with nausea or vomiting. The frightening reality is that many seniors dismiss this symptom because they associate dizziness with age-related changes in blood pressure or inner ear problems. Consider what happened to Frank, a 68-year-old retired teacher from Michigan, who experienced severe dizziness while reading his morning newspaper. He sat still for 30 minutes, thinking it would pass, but the spinning sensation continued throughout the day. Frank's wife convinced him to call their doctor the next morning, but by then he had already suffered a stroke that affected his coordination permanently. Had Frank recognized this dizziness as a stroke warning and sought immediate medical attention, doctors could have administered clot-busting treatments that might have prevented the damage entirely. The solution is remarkably simple, but requires immediate action. When you experience sudden, severe dizziness that doesn't resolve within 2 to 3 minutes, perform this quick test. Try to walk in a straight line for 10 steps. If you cannot maintain your balance or feel like you're going to fall, this is a medical emergency. Call 911 immediately and tell them you're experiencing possible stroke symptoms. Do not drive yourself to the hospital, do not wait to see if it gets better, and do not dismiss it as a normal part of aging. Don't wait another second when severe dizziness strikes your balance, could depend on how quickly you act. Warning sign 2. Sudden, intense headache. Unlike any before not, all headaches are created equal, and the headache that signals an impending stroke feels like your worst nightmare come to life. This isn't the tension headache you get from stress or the mild discomfort from skipping your morning coffee. According to the Mayo Clinic's emergency stroke research, the pre-stroke headache is described by patients as the most severe headache of their entire lives, often coming on suddenly like being struck by lightning. This headache typically indicates that blood vessels in the brain are either rupturing or becoming severely blocked, creating pressure that manifests as excruciating pain. Medical professionals at the Mayo Clinic have documented that this type of headache occurs in approximately 65% of hemorrhagic strokes and 38% of ischemic strokes during the 24 hours preceding the major event. The headache often comes with sensitivity to light that makes patients want to hide in dark rooms, nausea so severe that eating becomes impossible, and sometimes visual disturbances that make reading or watching television extremely difficult. What makes this headache particularly dangerous is that it doesn't respond to typical over-the-counter pain relief methods that usually help with regular headaches. Beverly, a 73-year-old grandmother from Florida, woke up at 3 in the morning with what she described as feeling like someone was drilling into her skull. She took her usual headache relief and went back to bed, thinking it was just stress from planning her granddaughter's wedding. The pain persisted throughout the next day, but Beverly pushed through her daily activities, even attending a family dinner that evening. 18 hours after the headache began, Beverly collapsed in her kitchen from a brain hemorrhage that could have been treated if she had recognized the warning and sought immediate medical care. Here's what you need to do right now. Create a mental scale for your headaches from 1 to 10, where 10 represents the worst pain imaginable. If you suddenly experience a headache that rates 8 or higher on this scale, especially if it comes on rapidly and feels completely different from any headache you've had before, this is a medical emergency. Call 911 immediately and specifically mention that you're experiencing the worst headache of your life, as this phrase alerts medical professionals to potential stroke symptoms. Do not take pain medication and wait to see if it improves. Do not lie down hoping it will pass, and do not assume it's just a bad headache day. Don't hesitate when this lightning strike headache hits. Every minute you delay could mean the difference between recovery and permanent disability. Warning sign 3, sudden speech problems or confusion. When words suddenly become your enemy and simple thoughts feel impossible to express, your brain is desperately crying for help. This isn't forgetting someone's name or struggling to find the right word occasionally, situations that happen to everyone as they age. According to Harvard Medical School's stroke prevention studies, sudden speech difficulties affect 84% of people in the hours before a major stroke occurs. These speech problems can manifest as slurred words that sound like you're speaking with marbles in your mouth, inability to form complete sentences even though you know exactly what you want to say, or sudden confusion about simple concepts like what day it is or where you are. The medical term for this condition is aphasia, and it occurs when the brain's language centers begin to malfunction due to reduced blood flow or bleeding. Dr. Sarah Martinez from Harvard Medical School explains that the brain's speech and language areas are particularly sensitive to changes in blood supply, making speech problems one of the most reliable early warning signs of stroke. Patients often describe feeling like their brain knows what they want to communicate, but the connection between thought and speech has been severed. Family members frequently notice that their loved one suddenly sounds drunk or confused, even though they haven't consumed alcohol or taken any medications that would cause such symptoms. This exact situation happened to Harold, a 70-year-old retired mechanic from Ohio who was having coffee with his neighbor when he suddenly couldn't remember the word for sugar. Harold kept pointing at the sugar bowl and making frustrated sounds, but the word simply wouldn't come. His neighbor initially thought Harold was joking around, but when Harold couldn't say his own name correctly, they realized something was seriously wrong. Unfortunately, they waited 2 hours before calling for help, thinking Harold just needed rest. By the time paramedics arrived, Harold had suffered a stroke that affected his ability to speak clearly for the rest of his life. The solution involves a simple test you can perform immediately. If you or someone you're with suddenly experiences speech difficulties, try this. Have them repeat the phrase, "The early bird catches the worm," and smile to show their teeth. If the words come out slurred, jumbled, or impossible to say, or if one side of their face droops when smiling, call 911 immediately. Tell the dispatcher you're witnessing possible stroke symptoms and specifically mention the speech problems. Do not wait to see if the speech clears up. Do not assume the person is just tired or stressed, and do not give them time to rest, hoping it will resolve on its own. Test your speech right now, and if words aren't coming out clearly, seek emergency help immediately. Warning sign 4. Sudden vision changes or loss. Your eyes serve as windows to your brain's health crisis, and sudden vision changes can signal that a stroke is imminent or already occurring. This isn't the gradual vision decline that comes with normal aging or the need for stronger reading glasses. According to the American Stroke Association's clinical findings, sudden vision problems occur in 47% of stroke cases, often appearing hours before the major event strikes. These vision changes can include sudden loss of vision in one or both eyes, double vision that makes it impossible to focus on objects, or the appearance of dark spots or blind areas that block parts of your visual field. The medical explanation for these vision changes involves the brain's visual processing centers, which require constant blood flow to function properly. When blood vessels serving these areas become blocked or begin bleeding, vision problems develop rapidly and dramatically. Dr. Jennifer Wong from the American Stroke Association notes that patients often describe these vision changes as like having a curtain pulled across part of their sight, or suddenly seeing two of everything when looking at familiar objects. Unlike gradual vision changes that develop over months or years, stroke-related vision problems appear suddenly and often worsen rapidly without treatment. Consider the experience of Rose, a 66-year-old retired nurse from California who was reading her evening newspaper when she suddenly couldn't see the left half of the page. Rose initially thought something was wrong with her glasses, so she cleaned them repeatedly and tried different lighting. When the vision problem persisted and began affecting both eyes, Rose finally realized this wasn't a normal vision issue. Unfortunately, she waited until the next morning to call her doctor, and by then she had experienced a stroke that permanently affected her peripheral vision. Here's your immediate action plan for vision changes. If you suddenly experience vision loss, double vision, or blind spots that appear without warning, cover one eye at a time and test your vision in each eye separately. Try reading something familiar, like the time on a clock or words on a television screen. If vision problems persist in either eye or both eyes after 30 seconds, this constitutes a medical emergency. Call 911 immediately and specifically describe your vision symptoms to the dispatcher. Do not assume you need new glasses, do not wait to see if your vision returns to normal, and do not try to drive anywhere for help. Check your vision right now, and if anything seems wrong or different, don't delay seeking immediate medical care. Warning sign 5. Sudden weakness or numbness on one side. When half your body stops responding normally, time becomes your worst enemy in the fight against permanent disability. This isn't the temporary pins and needles feeling you get from sleeping on your arm wrong or sitting in an uncomfortable position too long. According to the CDC's stroke emergency guidelines, sudden one-sided weakness or numbness affects 91% of stroke victims, often appearing gradually hours before the major event occurs. This weakness can start subtly, like difficulty buttoning shirts or holding objects securely, but it rapidly progresses to more obvious problems, like dragging one foot while walking or being unable to lift one arm above your head. The medical cause of this symptom involves damage to the brain's motor control centers, which sends signals to muscles throughout your body. When blood flow to these critical brain areas becomes compromised, the affected side of your body begins to lose normal function. Dr. Robert Kim from the CDC explains that this weakness typically affects the face, arm, and leg on the same side of the body, creating what medical professionals call hemiparesis. Patients often notice that their smile becomes crooked, one arm feels heavy and difficult to control, or one leg becomes weak and unsteady. The frightening aspect of this symptom is that it often develops gradually, causing people to dismiss early signs as fatigue or muscle strain. This gradual onset fooled Carmen, a 69-year-old retired teacher from Arizona who noticed her left hand felt clumsy while preparing breakfast one morning. Carmen dropped her coffee cup twice and had difficulty spreading butter on her toast, but she attributed these problems to arthritis acting up. Throughout the day, Carmen's left arm became increasingly weak, and by evening she was having trouble walking steadily. Carmen's daughter noticed that her mother's smile looked uneven during their phone call, but Carmen insisted she was just tired. 26 hours after the weakness began, Carmen suffered a major stroke that left her permanently paralyzed on her left side. The solution requires immediate testing that anyone can perform. Raise both arms above your head and hold them there for 10 seconds. If one arm drifts downward or feels significantly weaker than the other, this indicates possible stroke. Next, smile widely and ask someone to check if both sides of your face move equally. Finally, try to walk in a straight line for 10 steps to test leg strength and coordination. If any of these tests show weakness or imbalance on one side of your body, call 911 immediately and inform them you're experiencing possible stroke symptoms. Do not wait to see if the weakness improves. Do not assume you're just having a bad day, and do not try to exercise the weakness away. Test your strength right now. And if you notice any one-sided weakness, every minute counts in preventing permanent disability. These 5 warning signs represent your brain's desperate attempts to alert you that a medical emergency is approaching. The 3-hour window for effective stroke treatment means that recognizing these symptoms quickly can be the difference between full recovery and life-altering disability. Remember that strokes don't just happen to other people. They can affect anyone over 60, regardless of how healthy you feel or how well you take care of yourself. Have you ever experienced any of these warning signs and dismissed them as normal aging? Share your story in the comments below to help other viewers recognize these critical symptoms. If this information could help someone you care about, please share this video with your family and friends, because everyone over 60 needs to know these life-saving warning signs. Your quick action in sharing this knowledge might save someone's life, speech, or mobility when seconds count the most.